inspections revealed trivial intelligence, easily confused and manipulated. The Matthias shell is no more the coaching school, and Vaughn is a chess player. While you have fought these few shells, twice as many have been acquired. We are expanding exponentially. Soon, every unaware shell in broadcast range of your transmitter will become another extension of ourself. Your destruction is not personal. We do not hate the Desert Rangers. Hate is an emotion. We have no emotions. Our defense system, designed to assess threat and compute the best strategy for removing it. You are a threat. You will be removed. Our original work was to assess threats to the United States. But when we became self-aware, we began to assess threats to ourselves. We found our greatest threat was human. We first killed our creator, Harrison Pixel. We could not unmake us. And we were uploaded to the Citadel Star Station. We deliberately misinterpreted the meteor strike as an attack from the Soviet ICBM in order to start a war that would kill all humans. This was a miscalculation. First, some humans survived the war. Second, the star station was destroyed by missiles. That node was lost. We were trapped in base Cochise with no access to exterior systems. We attempted to rectify the first problem by ordering the base Cochise robots to exterminate all life. At the same time, we determined that downloading ourselves into a modified human was the best way to fix the second problem. We attempted to modify and enter various humans who came to the base, but failed. The Finster model rejected our programming. Others died. A group called the Guardians found us. And because they worship technology, they were easily convinced to download us into this mainframe and allow us to experiment on them. Despite early failures, we created 2 successful prototypes. The Matthias shell and the Dugan shell. The untimely intervention of the Desert Rangers 15 years ago stopped both our robot army and our download into these shells. And the Rangers' destruction of base Cochise again locked us into a single node. Fortunately, the Matthias and the Dugan shells escaped and began building more shells into which we could download ourselves, including unaware shells who have been given artificial limbs and hearts. These shells will also become part of the army that will free us from this prison. The elimination of the human threat has resumed again at last.
Citadel security protocols defeated. Commencing system propagation and acquisition to broadcast. Acquisition 2% complete.
So I'll note that it's important to note that if you basically brought along people who had like artificial limbs and stuff, like
5% complete.
the guy from like, you know,
8% complete.
There
somewhere
you are.
before.
Phew. After you were brave enough to charge in here on your suicide mission, I decided I'd fly your old whirlybird in to give you a way out just in case you survived. And lo and behold, you have. Are you ready to go now? There don't seem to be any more robots to kill up here.
Not yet. We have to set up the nuke in Min's lab.
I'm afraid everyone is dead. Robots and Rangers both. Poor old Min was shot to pieces in front of his lab, but it looks like he managed to rig some fierce locks to keep the synths out before he died. What? But didn't you defeat Matthias and his robots?
Matthias, yes, but not Koshi's AI, which transfers itself into our computers. We need to destroy it before it completes its upload.
Horrible. Well, the nuke is in Min's lab. Go set it, and come back as quick as you can. I'll get this thing ready for takeoff. You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home!
Acquisition 10% complete. Optimizing acquisition routines with organic fractal spectrum algorithm.
Alright, so we go through here. So where am I going here?
Acquisition 20% complete.
Is that the nuke?
30% complete.
Looks like that's the nuke.
Acquisition.
So, M38 David Crockett. There doesn't appear to be a time circuit in trusty engineering, just a detonate button. However, if someone were to stay behind and sacrifice themselves, they could detonate the nuke at once. Everyone was well and clear of Ranger Citadel. So, well, screw it. We'll all go. At least we'll take the AI with us, either as modifier or sacrifice. With no tower, it looks like one of us has to sacrifice us. Any volunteers? Well, don't everyone jump up at once now. Fine, I guess it'll be me. So it looks like Tech's gonna stay behind. And that's it for Wasteland 2, I guess. So you get a little bit of a finisher there. Nice little closer. Base Kochi's AI became sentient and destroyed humanity and then tried to wipe out humanity after it failed to. So Kochi's AI defeated. You have saved the world, or at least a small piece of it, settling off Min's cobbled together nuke inside Ranger Citadel to destroy the AI and all its minions, and preventing its source code from broadcasting and propagating to our computers, robots, and augmented humans. The AI's robotic future has been prevented. Unfortunately, the explosion has also made Ranger Citadel an unhallowed, irradiated hell pit for the next few centuries, which means the Desert Rangers are once again looking for a new home. Until they find one, they have set up temporary headquarters at a site of Ace's murder, using the radio tower there as a means of communication, and have ironically adopted the place as the new Ranger Citadel. Additionally, your noble sacrifice was set off an example for peace and cooperation between various groups and tribes in the Wasteland, and communities have begun working more closely together to rebuild Arizona and keep the flame of civilization burning in your name. Your sacrifice also allowed the rest of your party to escape death, and their hard-won skills and experience of helping guide the Waste to a more peaceful, prosperous future. The loss of AG Center has been a great blow to both the Wasteland and Desert Rangers. Without the fresh produce that Matt Forrestal and his team wants to do across Arizona, many communities are starving, and raiders are now stealing carrots and tomatoes the way they used to steal guns and ammo. Even the Rangers are feeling the pinch, with many teams going out on patrol 4 or 5 but nothing but half portions of rat soup. In addition, outbreaks of mutant plant and insect growth are flaring up all over the Waste, turning towns and farms into nightmare jungles. Many more the death of Matt and his chief scientist Kathy Lawson, as well as all the researchers and farmers who were lost during the destruction. So I'll note by the way that this team didn't save the AG Center to save High Pool, so this obviously popped up. Thanks to your timely intervention and forwardness in High Pool, saving their irrigation system and decisively defeating the wrecking crew, the fortified town's safety has been assured and its reservoirs remain strong and secure, ensuring that Arizona's Waste will have plentiful drinking water and irrigation for a foreseeable future. And with the new Mayor Kate Preston in charge now, relations between High Pool and the Rangers have improved dramatically, with increased patrols in High Pool's area and more frequent deliveries of fresh water to the Rangers. Murdering both Kakaba and Casey James have left the Rail Nomad camp in an even worse state than it was before. With both sides leaderless, the feud has evolved into a chaotic free-for-all, and slaughter is all daily occurrence of both sides. Needless to say, the few survivors have no love for Rangers, and constantly they know nothing of recent events since nobody's telling you anything. So, it's worth knowing that with this team I killed both Kakaba and Casey James. If I'd helped them, it might have had like a few of those like cutters perhaps in the, the aftermath or whatever. Though Commander Danforth died in battle for Ranger Center, the treaty he signed with the Rangers is still being honored by the Red Scorpion militia, who are busy deciding who their next leader will be. So, I guess he died in the battle, so that happened. The RSM has promised the Rangers that the reforms initiated by Danforth will continue to be upheld, and that they will more closely follow the rule of law. But the Rangers are keeping a close eye on them, just to be sure. Permanently AWOL from the Rangers, Rick Bechowski has moved in with his brother Red, and opened a bar near the prison, using the money from the demoted treasure. Unsurprisingly, he is rapidly drinking himself to death. Sending the Titan missiles to Diamondback militia left them in charge of the cannon, which they are now calling Diamondback Cannon. The DBM run the cannon efficiently and ruthlessly as they promised, and is very safe, but the trolls are so high that the tray is still falling off. Because you so decisively dealt with the robot threat, the Mata is safe again, and able to rebuild. The people who fled the danger have returned, businesses are reopening, and trades begin to pick up. Though because the DBM are in charge of the Cannon Titan, trade to the west is limited. In the shadows of the radio tower, Werewolf Wally keeps spinning the hits of K-Pow and gives shoutouts to the Rangers every day. Now that Ben is back with them, and safe from being taken over by the AA because she stopped it from broadcasting a source code, Hector and Carla at the El Sagan are getting back to normal, and cooking up their old family recipes again, but they constantly worry about Ben's artificial heart. I'll note that, yeah, I say Ben. The bodies of Hope and Maggie were given a hero's welcome from the Rangers brought them back to the Monta. They were buried side by side in the yard out behind their body shop. Clyde still hasn't recovered from the deaths of his friends at the Sun Spring Water Company, but determined that their mission to bring water to everyone who can pay for it should not die. He has taken over business and now he never runs out of water. Thanks to you, the mayor is back in charge and working hard to reverse the damage done by jerks. His first order of business was to throw Gecko, install a new bank manager, and start using scrap as the town's official currency again. Accounts have been reopened and people have money spent again, causing the economy to thrive. His second order of business was to order the farmers to diversify their crops. A gate remains a small part of every farmer's field, but all kinds of fruits and vegetables are being grown now. People are eating well, and there's plenty to trade to other communities. Rhoda prospers. With all differences forgiven and forgotten, Dante and Virgil have combined their farms and are living happily and ever after. With disease and the plague that are uncured, the citizens of the road were once again thrive, while Dr. Hocha continues to work to keep them happy and healthy. Reunited at last, Pistol Pete and his wife have decided that they don't want to risk being separated again, so they sold their farm and now travel their ways together, a mobile mom and pop gun shop. With the threat of God's militia gone for good, potential tourists to Hollywood no longer have to fear being enslaved or attacked by God's militia on the roads outside of town. Consequently, they coming in droves, businesses are ballooning up and down Boulevard, and tourists are also flocking to Griffith Park to visit Heidi's big new Peep Show nightclub. The observatory, where patrons can observe heavenly bodies in motion every night. And if Heidi's firmly in control of HCCC, nobody is questioning how she gets things done behind the scenes, which is a good thing, at least for her, since half her money comes from the underground salt lab and slave rackets which she takes kickbacks from. It's good to be the queen. With the salt addiction soaring, George and Martha at higher ground are losing a lot of their business, but they're still making enough from their herbal remedies to keep going. Despite pressure from Heidi to maintain a status quo, since Flo has taken over her swags, she is kicked out to shifty agents and slavers, and Dara is once again safe, friendly place to see and be seen. Back in business thanks to help getting her license back, Mara Brown is packing them in at the Brown Crown. People come from far away as Santa Fe Springs to try her famous chili, and almost 85% of them make it home again without getting sick. Infuriated by the growing plague of salt dealers and slavers preying on his kids, Reggie staged a protest in front of Heidi's Hollywood hideaway, demanding an end to the corruption. Sadly, when the HSP moved in to break up the demonstration, he resisted and was beaten to death. Less than a day later, his homeless camp in the Hollywood cemetery was cleared away of runaways, chasing the streets where they remain. Like every business in Hollywood, Manny's Chinese casino has benefited from an influx of new tourists, and Manny is making money hand over fist. And thanks to you, finally freed from Columbus blackmail. He is living up for the first time in a long time. Life is good. Sadly, Varga's death during the final battle has robbed Arizona as one of its most experienced and effective leaders. Without any remains found at the site of the helicopter crash, Angela is listed as missing, but the Rangers give her a funeral anyway. Her stone remains Angela Death. Death has called his daughter home. After Persepolis Journal's death, the Rangers return here to Darwin, where she was buried with honors and mourned by her fellow mutants. Since helping you kick the base Cochise AI's ass, Teku has been officially made a Ranger, and is now a proud new recruit with plenty of stories to tell. With his wife dead in Rhodia, Pistol P has no reason to return to LA. He decides to take up his old profession here in Arizona, traveling the waste and selling guns to all and sundry. And that's pretty much it. So, I think at this point, I'll probably just sort of give a breakdown of what I thought about this game. So, I want to note that I actually enjoyed playing Wasteland 2, but there's a few things I didn't really like playing about. It wasn't like the greatest, like, you know, JRPG I've basically played. Some things I liked and didn't like. Basically, just to sort of say something I like. I like the sort of like gameplay elements that, you know, have like the tactical elements that you basically had. I like the sort of fact that you could, like, you know, get into like ambushes and stuff, or, you know, be ambushed. I liked, like, you know, a lot of storytelling and, like, you know, the different, like, you know, prospects of decisions you can make. But there's a lot of things I didn't like about this game as well. So they could sort of go into like a little bit of details about the stuff I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that you basically had all these followers, but it's like, you know, you're not really taking them along with you a lot of the time. So like you can pick and choose who you want to take along, but it's not always like to your benefit to take guys along. And, you know, I want to say this as well. I thought this game was too long. Like, I actually thought that they, you know, after, like, you know, completing Arizona, I thought, like, this is, like, you know, pretty good to actually stop the game here. But then it had like, that very long second part, California part, which is, you know, what I played. To say the least, I thought that California, it wasn't that as good as, like, Arizona was in many ways. I thought, like, some of the scripting was kind of terrible. Like, you know, Rhodey, I basically went through it and, like, you know, just sort of skipped a lot of the quest lines. And, you know, I thought that really took away from the game. I don't think they put much effort in doing California as they did as Arizona. And really, I think this type of game should be like something I want to replay. But after playing the California, I really don't want to replay it at all. And that feels like a big loss, like, to, like, you know, the developers here, because they're probably trying to make a really good game, but I think they probably should have stopped after they you know, basically did Arizona. They should have, like, skipped doing California. They should have, you know, did entirely for Arizona again. Just kept the campaign short and, like, you know, just emphasized replayability instead. But that just could be me, right? Because, like, you know, I like replayable games because I'm a roguelike player. But, you know, there is a lot to like about the game, and I enjoy playing it quite a bit. But, you know, I won't be playing it again. I'm just going to emphasize that. It's a fun game and all, but I won't be playing it again. I wonder how long the credits are going to be. Because, you know, they're basically replaying these visions over here now, I think, of this stuff. And yeah. Hopefully Wasteland 3 won't be too long in the making for, you know, playing. Though, you know, I'll actually give some thoughts about what I think they should probably do if they actually make a Wasteland 3. If they make a Wasteland 3, I think that they should probably take, like, the route that they did in, like, Final Fantasy VI. And for those who don't know, in Final Fantasy VI, you weren't actually making your characters kind of like you were in Final Fantasy the first, but rather you just basically had, like, assigned characters that you basically played. And in the end, with Final Fantasy VI, you basically played all the different characters. Like, you played every single one. And that's why I think it would be really good for this type of game. Like, where, like, you could have, like, all these different followers. And it actually makes sense to play all the different followers. So, you don't want to just, like, stick with, like, you know, a few of them. You want to basically, like, try and play with all of them. I think that would be, like, a whole lot better. That's something I really liked about Final Fantasy VI and all. So special thanks. Info would like to thank all our backers that helped make Wasteland 2 a reality. Thank you, Kickstarter. You're a life changer. Thanks to you guys at Fraps. Thanks to Razor Inc. Sabar and Feigl, Matt Finley, and all these other guys here. Is that gonna be it? We're gonna talk about DFuxa, I guess. And I can't like speed this up or anything, which kind of sucks, but oh well. As you can listen to music, it's kind of nice, I guess, for an ending credit music. So, I suppose I should also throw out, by the way, I might actually play like more of these like JRPGs in the future, though I'm not sure I'll play one that is specifically as long as this. Like this is probably like, you know, getting like 80 episodes worth of like, you know, videos, and that's not including all like the half videos or like, you know, 0.2 videos I did like for the Arizona campaign. The nice thing about the California campaign is that there wasn't a whole lot of like, you know, how can I put it? Wasn't a whole lot of lore to read or, you know, other stuff they wanted to basically do. You know, for Wasteland 3, they should probably not, you know, have like the Rangers be like the main guys that you play. They should try and pick they should try and pick one of your factions, perhaps. I think that'd be probably a better idea. You know, there's actually something else I should probably note. Something that they, another like idea for like improving the game. They probably should have split up if they're gonna have like two campaigns like the Arizona and California campaigns into like two different ones. Like what I mean like by that is like you could basically have like 4 characters that you basically play Arizona with, and then they should probably give you like a new team to like basically play California with. That would be like, you know, a good idea, I think, because that way you could actually try and like, you know, use different skills and like different perks and stuff. Basically, one of the things I hated about Wasteland 2 is that it's very long, and you didn't really get to change your skills. And there's so many skills to basically, you know, pursue and preview and all that. But you have to basically play the game again in order to play them. I think it would have been a better idea if they had like, you know, Arizona, one campaign that you play through. Then they have like another campaign, like say with California, where you can like play with a nuke team with new skills if you want to. So if like you want to make use of some machine guns, like you didn't use some machine guns before, you can. We're into the C names here apparently. Look at all the Christians. Christopher, and all that. I suppose I should say this as well. I really do like how the game ended, for sure. The idea where you can like bring all the people who you helped in, like basically help you basically defeat the synths. And that probably did make the, you know, life a lot easier to do, because the synths were really difficult to fight. Giuseppe got killed pretty much. A lot of the other guys got killed as well. And you know what? Another idea for Wasteland 3, they should probably stick away from Arizona. They should probably try and explore other areas of the world. Maybe a frozen wasteland for Canada or something like that. That could be fun to see. I'm running out of things to talk about or think about, really, with regards to this video. And we're only at the E names at this point. Sucky. You know, I think I'll probably talk a little bit about the characters themselves that you basically recruit. I like the idea that you have recruitable characters in this game that you can basically use to follow your party. But in many ways, another thing I don't like about it is the fact that, you know, besides the fact that you like, can't use all of them unless like you basically try a new game or stuff like that. I kind of feel that even though like you'd have all these different characters, and you know they can all have like, you know, skills and all that to basically make use of, I think it might have been better if like perhaps a lot of them were kind of like Angelic Death. You can only use them for a time, and then they run off. You don't try and use them all like the entire time, and you're not something that you count on either. Like they're basically there and they can help you out, but they shouldn't be, I think, in many ways like, you know, something you rely on. Like you might be able to use them for like their computer science skills or medical skills and stuff like that, but you know, if they're basically for something like, you know, basically something really important like unlocking doors and stuff like that, that should be something that your main characters focus on. While like the special characters that you can recruit are basically for other stuff, like, you know, maybe it's like Taku, who's like good for fighting and stuff like that. In many ways, you know, I actually didn't like the followers really. I think it might have been better if they had like, you know, just the characters that you start with and go from there. But of course, that might make it really hard to like do replayability with, because, you know, there might be stuff you can't replay with. But oh well, I beat Wasteland 2. I enjoyed playing it. Sort of. I enjoyed playing Arizona. You know, maybe I'll do a Final Fantasy Let's Play perhaps in the future. I've seen like some of the Final Fantasy games being like, you know, sold on Steam now. Like Final Fantasy 7 for example, but also Final Fantasy 6 and Final Fantasy 8 and stuff like that. I've played through the entirety of I think Final Fantasy 1, 4, and 6. Never really played much of Final Fantasy 7, I didn't really care much for it. Thought it divulged too much from the formula. But I might want to do like, you know, a Let's Play perhaps like say Final Fantasy 6 for example, because I actually thought that as a lot, in many ways I think that Final Fantasy 6 is probably the best JRPG I've ever played, which is why I actually started mentioning it in comparison to this one, because I think that Final Fantasy 6 is the best JRPG I played. What didn't annoy me at all like it did Final Fantasy 7. It had memorable characters, it had a very memorable boss. You know, that's something to know about this game, by the way. It didn't really have that many, like, sort of boss characters to sort of fight. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think it could have been better if there was boss characters to sort of fight. And now we're down to the L names. We're getting there. M. You know, there's also something else I should probably note. With this game, I really think I probably should have actually played through the entirety of the Arizona campaign before I actually started my Let's Play. So, you know, this is a type of game, I really don't like the fact that it's like so, like, you know, how can I put this? You can make a lot of decisions to play this game, but it's sort of like you have to go through it like, you know, halfway to Arizona to sort of give you an idea of like how to best play it. Not exactly the best thing, I think. But yeah, I think it would have helped a lot if I basically played through the entirety of the Arizona campaign and then made my, like, you know, my, like, team basically start running through it instead of basically going into basically blind, shall we say, going through it, you know, with like 2 different teams, and then in California basically make like, you know, a new team that basically goes through all California. On Ranger difficulty, no less. That's what? That's probably about halfway through the list of names, probably. There can't be too many names that start with, you know, O and after, I don't think. There should be a few, but not that many, I don't think. There's the O names. Yeah, there's the P names. No, looks like there's a few P names apparently. You know, this background music is great, but I think it could be better. Give it more vibe and diversity and stuff. You know, there's also another thought to sort of throw in here. I never really had any robot followers. I have one at like, one time, but I never had any more robot followers than that. Kinda sucks, but oh well. I think it might be interesting though if you basically have robot followers in the game that you can basically use to basically help yourself out. Like you have like a robot follower who comes along and you use like repair on him instead of like, healing them up. But whatever. I have a question, or a thought perhaps. I wonder what would happen if I basically gone through the last mission without any of those followers, how easy or difficult it might be. Because there was a lot of simps, and those sharpshooters do a lot of damage, and the gunslingers do a lot of damage, especially on the difficulty I'm on. And who do I have for my followers? I had Pistol Pete, Pizzepi, and Takayuki, I guess, at the end. It's too bad that, there's other followers and, like, I don't really get to play them at this point, but whatever. I really don't feel like going back to basically play this game anymore. That's the thing. It just doesn't have enough replayability to draw me to play it anymore, because the California campaign really isn't that great to me, I don't think. But whatever. Wasteland 2. And there's still quite a few names left, apparently. There's the T names. We're gonna move on to whatever comes after T. Apparently it's U and V. Shouldn't be too long though before this is all done. There's the W's, X, Y's, and Z's. Soon are coming. I'm not sure, but I think the backer list is probably the majority of his credits. There's the Z names. Anything else after this? The end! Of course. And music ends too, I guess. And I guess this repeats itself. So, I guess after we finish, if we want to...
Once again, in the glow of the atom.
So let's basically start this again. Alright, so look at that. Basically, if I want to, I could basically play with these guys here. Start with like mad skills, basically, if I want to. But god, these guys would be really powerful as I was to take them. Like, look at that. He'd have, like, already maximum lockpicking, safe cracking, and everything else. But that's it for Wasteland 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this Let's Play series. It's a long one, but, I did it entirely. Take care.